once you've released the tubing system, it's a lot easier to pull through. So let's go ahead and we'll pull it through now. So once you pulled it through, this is the UV cable, the gray one. Do not pull that through, just leave that there. So we're going to take the Phillips screwdriver, release the bracket that's holding us down, and set this aside too. So now that I'm going to go ahead and release all of these dampers here. So when you have to replace and connect the new tubing, we're just going to pretend that. Let me remove the first damper first here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So unscrew the brass ring, separate the tubing. What you're going to need is this O-ring, okay, from the existing tubing, which is this one. You're going to pull off the brass ring, get the replacement tubing system, put the brass ring on first, followed by the O-ring. Put that through, and then you're going to connect each and every damper back to it. Of course, because you're removing the dampers in order, when you connect the new tubing system, make sure it's in order, because you want to connect the white damper to the first white tube, second white damper to the second white tube, and vice versa, all the way to your colors. Once that's done, of course, let me reconnect this damper here. And when you reconnect it, you want to be sure that it goes right in. At least I would say, look, that looks like about maybe 5 millimeters. And then screw that back into place. It cannot be crooked, or else there's going to be an air leak. So make sure it's on flush, screwed in tightly. Then what I do is I actually will line it back on the post, all the dampers. And once all the dampers are lined up on the post, take the tubing system and make sure you feed it correctly, just so that there's enough slack as well. Put the mounting bracket back on. Make sure it looks nice and neat. Not only that, but you want to make sure there's enough feed and the dampers are all seated evenly as well. That's very important. Okay, because if there is too much slack or not enough slack, of course that's going to interfere with the flow of ink, and that's the issue we're having right now. So you want to make sure that there's enough slack for the dampers to be seated over the post of the printhead correctly. See, I'm actually going to tie this in now. And you still have some more play here as well. So I'll make sure there's enough slack, and it all looks good. Then slowly feed it back through here. And of course you can start putting the clips on one by one. So let me just put the first clip back on. You see it just clips right in place. I'll just leave that there for now, because when you feed the tubing system back here, we're gonna actually just go right from the bottom. Okay, so you can take the first set, the first four, and feed them first through. Yeah, squeeze them together. What you can also do is tape them if you find you're having any difficulty with that. So I'm gonna feed the first four through here. And I may have to tape it so I can feed it through, but I try my best not to have to do that here. So that's 3. I got 3 of them. Come on. There's the 4th one. And you can go ahead and, of course, and feed it through. Make sure, of course, the opposite end is not tangled. Feed that through, just like that. Make sure it's nice. And there's enough slack on it. You want to make sure it's all straight as well. So I'm going to realign that. It goes right through here. So it's going to be easier if you tape it. So I would suggest taping the ends. And feed that through. And feed this through. Just like that. Now, when you're reconnecting this back to the post of the syringe tip, we're going to take the same cap we removed, which is this one. We're going to put the cap back on first. Then there is the gasket, which I seem to have lost. So I'm just going to remove it from another existing one. So this is how the gasket looks like. No, sorry, not the gasket, the O-ring. Okay, put the O-ring on. We're gonna make sure this goes all the way inside. Okay, it has to actually touch the base, so that the tubing does not go down further. Then you screw it back on. And of course, if that's spinning, just hold it down and screw it. And you see that now it's on tightly. It cannot be removed.